The night was silent above Jupiter's orbit, where the human listening post horizon deep floated like a speck of dust against the endless dark. Inside the metal corridors, a few scientists and engineers worked in silence, sipping coffee and staring at screens filled with static waves and coded signals. They had been listening for years, waiting for something that might never come. Then, at 0317 UTC, something did come, a deep pulse. A rhythmic, repeating pattern unlike anything ever heard before. It wasn't random noise. It was structured. Dr. Helena Park, the chief signal analyst, froze in her chair. The screen before her showed a pattern of geometric bursts, perfect intervals, precise timing. "That's intelligent," she whispered. Her assistant, Mark, leaned closer. Could it be another probe signal? Maybe Martian interference? Helena shook her head slowly. No, this is deliberate. This is language. The room fell silent. She replayed the signal through the audio system. The room filled with a deep humming rhythm, like a metallic heartbeat echoing through space. The sound sent chills down everyone's spine. It was coming from far beyond the solar system, too far for any human transmission. Within hours, Earth knew. Every major observatory confirmed the same thing. A repeating message beamed directly toward Earth, its mathematical patterns suggesting a request to respond. The United Nations called an emergency session. For the first time in history, the words "first contact" were spoken with real fear and real hope. On the following day, the world was watching. Leaders, scientists, soldiers, and ordinary citizens all stared at screens showing the decoded message. Most of it was unreadable, strange alien glyphs that glowed like fractal art. But one part was unmistakable. 3 simple symbols that translated to peace. The world erupted in excitement. Some cried, some prayed, some warned. After endless debates, Earth's leaders agreed to reply. A powerful radio signal was sent from the moon's array, humanity's greeting to the unknown. "From the planet Earth we send peace," the message said. "We welcome all who come in friendship." It was poetic, hopeful, and cautious. But not everyone believed it was a good idea. General Torres, head of Earth's Orbital Defense Command, watched the broadcast from his control deck. His jaw was tight. "You don't invite strangers into your home without checking if they're carrying knives," he muttered. 2 weeks passed. Nothing happened. The world began to relax. Scientists argued it could take years for a reply, maybe even centuries. Humanity began to move on. Then one quiet night, the stars moved. At first, the astronomers thought it was a sensor glitch, but telescopes quickly confirmed the impossible. Hundreds of unknown objects had entered the outer solar system, all moving in formation. Helena Park was in the command center when the data came in. "They're ships," she whispered, heart pounding. "They're coming here." Within hours, every military force on Earth was on high alert. The sky above Jupiter lit up with unidentified crafts, sleek and massive like floating cities. They were not slow, clumsy explorers. They were fleets. Their formation was precise, disciplined, and cold. Human satellites captured images that spread across the internet. Millions watched in awe and terror. The ships glowed gold against the blackness of space, their hulls alive with energy. They called themselves the Velaran Collective. Their first transmission came in perfect English, their voices calm and superior. "Humans of Earth," the message began. "We are the Velaran Collective. We have come to guide your species to its rightful place in the stars." The words "guide your species" didn't sound comforting. They sounded like ownership. Helena felt a chill run through her. Something about the tone, smooth, confident, almost rehearsed, made her uneasy. She had spent her life studying communication patterns, and this one wasn't peace. It was command. When the UN sent back a response, while polite, cautious, and welcoming, the Valorans didn't wait long. "We will establish communication directly," they said. "Prepare for visitation. Visitation, not negotiation, not meeting. Visitation." 3 days later, the skies over Earth changed forever. From orbit, enormous golden ships appeared. Hundreds of them, perfectly silent, reflecting sunlight like oceans of metal. They formed a ring around the planet, glowing faintly blue. For the first time in history, Earth was surrounded by another civilization. People flooded the streets. Some cheered, some fell to their knees, some panicked and fled. In the orbital command station, General Torres stood beside Dr. Park, staring at the monitor as one ship broke formation and began descending slowly toward Earth's upper atmosphere. "They're landing?" Mark asked, his voice trembling. "No," Helena whispered, staring at the readouts. "They're scanning us." Dozens of satellites flickered and went dark. Global communication networks stuttered. Military frequencies went silent. Then the Valorans spoke again, this time not to governments, but directly to every human device connected to the network. Their message echoed across screens, radios and holograms. "Your world is rich. Your species is strong. We acknowledge your progress. You will serve well under the collective." The words hit like thunder. Every soldier, every scientist, every leader on Earth realized this was not a greeting. It was a declaration. Helena turned to the general. "We invited them," she said quietly, guilt in her voice. "And they accepted the invitation." The general didn't answer. He just stared at the golden ships hovering over the planet, his hand tightening into a fist. "Doctor," he said in a low voice, "let's hope they don't find out what humanity really is." Outside, lightning flared as the alien fleet began to descend through the atmosphere. Silent, powerful, unstoppable, but deep beneath the Earth's crust, far below old military complexes and forgotten bunkers, something ancient and hidden began to wake up. Humanity had been waiting, too, and the first contact had just gone wrong. The world held its breath as the alien fleet remained motionless above the clouds. For 3 long days, no one dared to make the next move. The Valoran ships shimmered like mirrors in the sky, reflecting sunlight in strange patterns that humans could not decode. Their presence was calm but heavy, like a sword resting on the neck of the planet. Dr. Helena Park barely slept. She had been moved from Horizon Deep to the United Nations Orbital Station, where Earth's leaders and scientists now coordinated every response. The air there was always tense, the kind of tension that made people whisper instead of talk. From her window, she could see one of the Valoran ships hovering beyond the glass, a mountain of light and steel, silent, perfect, terrifying. The UN finally decided to send a delegation. A message was transmitted to the Valorans requesting peaceful face-to-face communication. Within minutes, the aliens replied with exact coordinates and time. There was no negotiation. They decided everything: the place, the duration, even the number of humans allowed to attend. The meeting took place aboard a neutral orbital platform, halfway between Earth and the alien fleet. Dr. Helena Park was chosen as part of the scientific team. Alongside her were General Torres, representing Military Command, and Ambassador Reyes, humanity's lead diplomat. The 3 boarded the shuttle Athena, carrying Earth's symbol, a white flag with a blue circle representing unity. As Athena approached the alien vessel, the crew fell silent. The ship wasn't like anything human eyes had ever seen. It was alive, surfaces rippling like liquid glass, glowing veins of light pulsing beneath metallic skin. The docking bay opened silently, swallowing the shuttle like a mouth. Inside, the air shimmered faintly. There was gravity, breathable oxygen, and an eerie sense that the ship was watching them. A tall figure approached, surrounded by 4 guards in silver armor. He was humanoid, elegant, tall, skin like smooth bronze with faint patterns that moved when he did. His eyes were wide, violet, and emotionless. When he spoke, his voice was calm but filled with unshakable authority. "I am Envoy Kale of the Valoran Collective," he said. "You have been selected to witness the dawn of your new era." Ambassador Reyes smiled politely. "We are honored, Envoy Kale. Humanity seeks friendship, not subjugation." Kale raised a hand. "Friendship is an emotional illusion. The collective offers structure, not chaos. You will adapt, and in doing so you will evolve." The room went cold. Helena watched every movement. His gestures were too precise, his tone rehearsed. This wasn't a discussion. It was an announcement. General Torres's jaw tightened. "If you came to guide us, Envoy, then guidance requires consent. We are not your subjects." Kyle turned to him slowly, almost curious. "Your kind confuses freedom with anarchy. We have seen your wars, your pollution, your endless hunger for dominance. You are dangerous, to yourselves and to others." He stepped closer, his violet eyes glimmering. "The collective ends such danger. You will thank us, Ngan, when the integration is complete." Helena's stomach twisted. Integration. The word didn't sound like peace. It sounded like absorption. Hours passed in careful talk that led nowhere. The aliens revealed nothing about their technology, only their intent. Earth was to be supervised, its military disarmed, and its industries redirected for the collective's use. Human leaders back on Earth were outraged. The broadcast of the meeting leaked across global networks, and people everywhere began to panic. Some called for surrender, others demanded war. On the alien ship, Cale turned his gaze toward Helena. "You understand, human scientist," he said softly. "Knowledge without guidance breeds destruction. Your species creates weapons faster than it creates peace." Helena met his eyes without fear. "Maybe," she said quietly. "But we also create miracles, music, art, sacrifice. You don't understand what we are." Cale tilted his head, studying her as if she were an insect under glass. "You are interesting," he admitted. "For primitives." Torres took a step forward, fists clenched. "That's enough." But Cale only smiled faintly, the kind of smile that had no warmth. "Your defiance is predictable." "So were the others." "Others?" Helena asked sharply. Cale's eyes glowed brighter. "Yes, there were others before you. Worlds that refused integration. None remain." The silence that followed was unbearable. Even the air seemed to freeze. Reyes whispered, "You destroyed them?" Cale looked at him without expression. They destroyed themselves by resisting perfection. When the meeting ended, the humans were escorted back to their shuttle. As they departed, Cale spoke one final time through the comm channel. "You will prepare your world for transition. Resistance will only delay the inevitable." The moment Athena broke free from the alien ship's gravity, General Torres slammed his fist against the console. "Transition my ass," he growled. "They think they can rewrite humanity? Let them try." Helena sat in silence, staring at the dark horizon of Earth below. Her mind raced. The Valorans weren't here for friendship. They were here for control. But something bothered her. Something she'd seen during the meeting. When Kyle spoke of others, his body patterns had shifted slightly, like a biological reaction. For the briefest second, his confidence cracked. He feared something. "What if?" she murmured. "They've seen a species they couldn't control." Torres looked at her. "You mean like us?" Helena nodded. "Exactly like us." Back on Earth, chaos spread fast. Governments demanded answers. The Valorans transmitted new orders. Dismantle all orbital weapons, surrender planetary defense codes, and prepare for peaceful supervision. But humanity was not made for submission. Hidden deep beneath the Nevada desert, in a base known only to a few, engineers worked in silence. Inside reinforced chambers, machines slept, black angular, and pulsing faint blue light. Project Ares, humanity's last defense. As Dr. Helena Park arrived at the facility, she saw hundreds of scientists and soldiers preparing. The world above was panicking, but down here the real war had already begun. "Are they sure it's time?" she asked. General Torres nodded grimly. "They wanted to see what humanity really is. We're going to show them." Helena looked at the glowing monitors showing the alien fleet hovering above the planet. Their formation was flawless, predictable. "Predictable," she whispered. "That's their weakness." Far above, in his vast flagship, Envoy Cale watched Earth's networks through streams of holographic light. "Their resistance will end quickly," he told his second-in-command. "By dawn they will understand obedience," but even as he spoke, a hidden code was sent from Earth, an encrypted pulse that the Valoran systems did not detect. Helena Park's voice echoed in the underground base. "If they came to guide us, they'll soon learn, and humanity doesn't follow. We adapt." Outside, thunder rolled across the atmosphere, lightning flashing against the alien ships. The second phase of first contact had begun. The world awoke to a new dawn under alien shadows. The Valoran fleet hovered like silent gods above the planet, their ships reflecting sunlight across oceans and cities. They had not fired a single weapon, yet every human on Earth could feel the weight of occupation. Dr. Helena Park stared at the sky through her lab window. Even in daylight, she could see one of the golden vessels glimmering above the clouds, a perfect, cold reminder that Earth was no longer alone or free. General Torres's voice crackled through her comm. "Doctor, report to command. Something's happening. Within minutes, Helena was on a high-speed shuttle descending toward the Nevada base. When she entered the control room, the atmosphere was electric, tense, urgent, filled with the hum of computers and nervous breaths. A technician turned to Torres. "Sir, the Valorans have cut our orbital communications. Satellites, relays, everything. They're isolating us." Torres leaned over the console, his eyes narrow. "They're not just isolating us. They're preparing the ground." Helena's heart skipped. "For what?" He looked at her, voice flat. "Occupation." Across the world, the alien advisors began landing in major cities. Their ships released beams of light that descended like pillars, materializing tall, elegant Velaran envoys surrounded by drones. They spoke with calm, commanding voices, telling governments to stand down and obey new protocols for planetary stabilization. At first, some humans complied. Others resisted and vanished. Entire defense teams in Moscow, Delhi, and Berlin went dark. On every broadcast, the Valoran message was the same. Order is peace. Submission is survival. But humanity's survival had always come from defiance. Inside the Nevada base, General Torres gathered his team. "They're disabling our networks one by one. But Project Ares doesn't need networks. It's isolated off-grid. It was built for this moment." Helena stepped forward. "Are we ready to deploy?" "Almost," Torres said. "But we need confirmation. Once we launch, there's no turning back." Helena hesitated. She looked at the giant screens. Hundreds of alien ships hovering over the blue planet. "If we do this, we're declaring war." Torres gave her a hard stare. "They already declared it. They just haven't fired yet." At that moment, a global transmission interrupted all channels. The Valoran flagship appeared on every device. Envoy Kale's image filled the screens. Tall, composed eyes like cold fire. "Humans," he said, his tone smooth and distant. "You have shown potential, but your aggression endangers your survival. We offer you integration, unity under the collective. Refuse, and we will remove your instability from this galaxy." In the UN war room, leaders argued and shouted. Some wanted to negotiate. Others demanded retaliation. But before a decision could be made, Kale's next words silenced them all. "Your leaders have already agreed to our oversight." Shock spread through the chamber. Helena, watching from the Nevada base, froze. "That's not true," she whispered. But then a secret channel opened on her terminal. Files began decrypting. Government seals, encrypted orders, and signatures from several global powers. Torres looked over her shoulder. "What is that?" Her face went pale. "He's right." Some of them did agree. "They've been negotiating behind our backs." Torres slammed his hand on the table. "Damn fools. They think surrender will save them." Helena's hands shook as she scrolled through the data. It's worse. They gave them access codes. Military networks. Orbital defense coordinates, everything. Torres's face hardened. Then the first betrayal wasn't theirs. It was ours. The attack began at dawn. Without warning, several human defense satellites exploded in orbit, bright flares streaking across the morning sky. Power grids collapsed across continents. Aircraft fell from the sky. The Valorans had struck without firing a single weapon. They had turned humanity's own systems against itself. Helena ran to the control room as alarms blared. "They've hijacked our command satellites. They're using our networks to disable everything." Torres barked orders. "Shut it down. Cut all uplinks. Go manual." Engineers scrambled, ripping out cables, shutting off connections, reverting systems to analog. For the first time in centuries, the world was being defended by human hands, not machines. Outside, alien drones descended like burning comets, scanning military bases and power plants. Their golden armor reflected fire and smoke. But then, something unexpected happened. A massive shockwave rippled through the stratosphere. Alien ships above Asia began to flicker, their shields destabilizing. The Valoran formation broke for the first time. Torres stared at the readings. "What the hell was that?" Helena's eyes widened. "Project Ares. It's activating." Deep underground, in a chamber carved beneath the Nevada mountains, enormous silos opened. Within them rested weapons unlike any ever used, a fusion of human design and alien technology, reverse-engineered from wreckage found years ago in Antarctica. The machines roared to life, their cores glowing blue-white. "Target the nearest Valoran relay ship," Torres ordered. Helena hesitated. That could start a war. Torres glared at her. It's already started, the order was given. A pulse of blinding light erupted from Earth's surface, invisible to the human eye but deadly to alien sensors. The beam struck one of the Valoran ships above the Pacific, cutting through its shields like paper. The ship exploded, scattering fragments across the atmosphere. The world erupted in disbelief. For the first time, humanity had destroyed a Valoran vessel. Helena stared at the live feed, her heart racing. We hit them. We hit them. Torres allowed himself a grim smile. They thought we were prey. In orbit, chaos spread through the alien fleet. Commanders shouted across their networks. They couldn't understand how the humans had broken through their defenses. Envoy Kale watched the data from his flagship, his calm mask cracking for the first time. Impossible. Their technology is primitive. How did they... A voice from his second-in-command interrupted. Sir, their weapon signature. It resembles Valoran design. Kale froze. His eyes glowed faintly. They've seen our relics, he whispered. They've learned from them. Back on Earth, Helena and Torres watched as the Valorans began to regroup. The skies glowed with gold and red light. War had officially begun. Helena turned to the general. They'll retaliate. They'll hit back harder. I know, Torres said, loading new coordinates. But now they know we're not just animals. We're predators too. Helena's voice was quiet but steady. Then we make sure they never forget it. Outside, the night sky burned with falling debris as humanity's secret weapons came alive across the globe. And far above, in the depths of the Valoran fleet, Envoy Kyle watched the chaos unfold. For the first time, his perfect voice trembled. Prepare all forces, he commanded. The humans are not weak, the universe had changed. First contact was over. Now war had begun. The sky above Earth was no longer blue. It shimmered with streaks of fire and metal, where alien ships clashed with human defenses. For the first time in history, humanity was fighting a war beyond its atmosphere, and winning small, impossible victories. Dr. Helena Park stood in the Nevada Command Center, her hands trembling over glowing controls. The room shook as distant explosions echoed from orbit. Status on Ares batteries? She shouted. An officer replied. Ares 1 through 4 operational. Global targets locked. Valoran fleet dispersing to avoid concentrated fire. General Torres smirked. Good, let them run. The more they move, the easier it is to hit them. Helena glanced at the massive tactical display. Hundreds of golden ships surrounding Earth, breaking formation as human counterstrikes hit their flanks. The aliens had expected surrender. Instead, they found resistance that fought with fury and precision. They underestimated us, she whispered. Torres nodded grimly. Everyone does until we bite. In orbit, the human fleet, a mix of old warships, reactivated space stations, and experimental Ares crafts, engaged the Valorans directly. The battles were chaotic but brave. Captain Elias Ward's ship, the Resolute, launched rail slugs the size of trucks into the enemy formation. Each slug ripped through golden hulls, scattering molten fragments into the void. Direct hit, cried the weapons officer. 2 enemy ships disabled. Elias grinned. Tell command, Earth's not done yet. But the victory was short-lived. The Valorans adapted fast. Their vessels shifted into diamond formations, using reflective shields to scatter human energy weapons. Their return fire came like lightning, beams slicing through space, melting human ships in seconds within minutes. The orbit became a graveyard of burning wreckage. Still, humanity refused to retreat. Helena's voice crackled through the fleet's comm network. All Ares units, new firing code incoming. Adjust frequency to pattern Delta 47. They're reflecting energy, not kinetic force. Go physical! Moments later, human ships switched from energy weapons to projectile bombardment. Massive tungsten rods fired at near light speed tore through alien shields. The results were devastating. Envoy Kale stood on the bridge of his flagship, the veneration as explosions painted space gold and red. His calm demeanor was cracking. Report, he commanded. 3 attack wings destroyed, replied his lieutenant. Their weapons are unpredictable, crude but effective. They changed strategy too fast, Kyle frowned. Humans shouldn't adapt this quickly. They shouldn't even be alive after the first wave. Another officer spoke. Sir, one of their signals matches a Valoran encryption sequence from ancient archives. Kale's eyes widened slightly. Impossible. That technology was lost. Or stolen, the officer said quietly. Kale's hand clenched into a fist. Then this is not a primitive species. This is a death-world civilization. He turned to his crew. Target their ground-based command centers. Destroy their ability to coordinate. On Earth, alarms screamed as the Valoran retaliation began. Blinding beams rained from the upper atmosphere, carving through deserts and oceans, vaporizing everything in their path. Impact in 10 seconds, someone shouted. Helena grabbed the console. Activate Ares Shield Protocol now. A massive surge of power rippled across the planet. Hidden generators under mountains, seas, and cities activated simultaneously. Invisible energy grids rose like auroras, creating shimmering shields around key zones. The alien beams struck the barriers and scattered harmlessly into the air. The Earth glowed. From space, it looked like the planet itself had awakened, surrounded by shimmering blue shields and flickering with power. Torres stared in awe. It's holding, Helena exhaled shakily. Barely, but it's holding. On the Veneration, Kel watched the impossible unfold. They've shielded an entire planet, he muttered. Primitive species do not do that. His second-in-command hesitated. Shall we retreat and regroup? Kale turned slowly, his eyes burning violet. Retreat? From animals? He stepped closer, voice low and venomous. No. We will break them and burn this world clean. He ordered the fleet to concentrate fire on the Pacific defense grid. Dozens of golden ships aligned, energy cores glowing brighter than suns. Helena saw it coming. They're focusing everything on one point. Torres barked. Redirect shields. Push power from Europe and Asia. Technicians screamed as systems overloaded. The Nevada base shook violently, lights flickering. A blinding flare erupted on the monitors and the Pacific shield flaring white-hot. Hold it, Torres yelled. Hold it, damn it! Helena watched as the barrier wavered, thin cracks spreading across its surface like glass under strain. Then suddenly, silence. The energy readings stabilized. The Valoran beams stopped. Did we stop them? A voice asked. Helena frowned. No. They stopped themselves. The monitors zoomed in. Several Valoran ships were drifting, their engines dark, systems failing. Torres frowned. What happened to them? Helena's fingers flew across the console. Feedback. Our shields reflected their energy back into their own weapon systems. They burned themselves out. Torres chuckled in disbelief. Poetic justice. Across the world, humanity rallied. Ground troops fired missiles from mountain silos. Submarines launched kinetic warheads from the depths, and fighter jets chased alien drones through the clouds. The internet, briefly restored, flooded with images of alien wrecks falling into the oceans, golden shards crashing into waves as crowds cheered. For the first time since the invasion began, hope returned. Helena broadcasted a message to the global network. To every nation, every soldier, every human, we fight not for control, but for survival. They came thinking we were weak. Let's show them what humanity truly is. Her words spread like fire. Across continents, people took up the fight. Engineers, pilots, miners, even civilians forming resistance teams. In orbit, the Valoran fleet was falling apart. Kale's flagship remained, but his forces were dwindling. A sudden transmission came through. A human voice. This is Captain Ward of the Resolute. You wanted to guide us? Then let us show you the way and straight into the sun. Before Kale could react, the Resolute rammed its engines to maximum power and charged directly into the Valoran flagship. The collision lit up the darkness like a second sunrise. Helena watched the explosion from her screen, tears in her eyes. He did it. Torres nodded, voice rough. He just gave us a fighting chance. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time the Valorans knew fear. Kale's ship, crippled but not destroyed, drifted through the debris field. He stared out at the burning earth below, eyes full of cold fury. They defy logic, he whispered. They destroy without reason, fight without fear, and win without mercy. He looked toward the stars. Prepare the signal. Summon the Second Fleet. The comms officer hesitated. Sir, the High Council forbade. Kale's tone turned to ice. Do it. Back on Earth, Helena and Torres stood in the command room, silent, exhausted, but alive. Helena spoke softly. They'll come back, Torres nodded. Then we'll be ready. She looked at the sky. where broken golden fragments still burned through the atmosphere, falling like shooting stars. "They came to guide us," she said quietly. "But they just taught us how to fight gods." Smoke curled above the Pacific as the shattered remains of alien ships burned like dying suns. For the first time in the history of Earth, humanity had fought the invincible and survived. The victory had cost thousands of lives, but it proved something far greater. The so-called primitive species could fight back. But celebration was short-lived. The alien silence was worse than their attack. Inside the Nevada command base, the atmosphere was heavy. Every monitor flickered with static. The alien fleet had stopped firing, yet none had retreated. They hung motionless above the upper atmosphere, golden silhouettes gleaming faintly against the curve of the Earth. Dr. Helena Park leaned over her console, scanning power signatures. "They're regrouping," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed fear. "They're recharging for something massive." General Torres stood behind her, his arms crossed. "They're not beaten," he muttered. "They're calculating." "Calculating what?" Helena asked. He met her gaze grimly. "How to erase us in one shot." Far above, aboard the alien flagship Veneration, Envoy Kyle watched Earth in silence. His once immaculate armor was scarred and dimmed. Around him, wounded officers limped to their stations. "Status," he ordered. His lieutenant, pale and shaken, spoke in a trembling voice. "Losses exceed 40%, High Envoy. The humans fight with chaos, no patterns, no logic. Their tactics make no sense." Kale's violet eyes glowed faintly. "Chaos is not weakness. It is unpredictability. That is what makes them dangerous." The lieutenant hesitated. "Then should we retreat?" Kale turned slowly, his expression unreadable. "No, we finish this." He pointed to a holographic projection of Mars orbiting in the distance. "Prepare the cataclysm array. We will strike from Mars orbit. If Earth resists, we turn it to dust." The officer swallowed hard. "Sir, the High Council forbade the use of—" Kale's voice cut him like a blade. "The High Council does not understand Deathworlders." He turned toward the window, staring down at the blue planet. "They think themselves supreme. Let us remind them what supremacy truly means." Back on Earth, Helena's team detected the energy surge. "Power spike, origin Mars sector." Torres looked at the readings, his face darkening. "They're deploying something massive." Helena typed furiously, decoding the signal pattern. "It's a superweapon. Gravitational compression. It could destroy continents." Torres slammed his fist against the table. "They're going to end this war in one strike." "Then we have to stop it," Helena said firmly. "Before they charge it completely." The general looked at her. "With what?" "Most of our fleet's gone." Helena hesitated, then said quietly, "We still have Ares Omega." The room went silent. Torres frowned. "That's not ready." "It was a prototype." Helena met his eyes. "It's not meant to defend. It's meant to end wars," he sighed. "You're talking about sending one ship to Mars against their entire fleet." "Yes," she said softly. "And I'm going with it." Hours later, the hangar roared to life. Engineers and soldiers gathered as Ares Omega, a black angular warship covered in hexagonal armor plates, powered up for launch. The vessel was small compared to alien ships, but every inch of it radiated human defiance. Torres approached Helena as she strapped into her seat. "You don't have to do this yourself." She gave a small smile. "If we lose communication, I'm the only one who can activate the weapon manually. And besides, I was there when first contact started. I'll be there when it ends." The general's voice softened. "You're braver than most soldiers I know." Helena looked out at the dark sky. "No, General, just more stubborn." As Ares Omega blasted into orbit, the world watched. Every nation held its breath as one human ship rose toward Mars carrying Earth's last hope. Inside, Helena's team monitored data. "Approaching enemy detection range," her pilot reported. "Will be visible in 60 seconds. Helena studied the distant red planet glowing in the void. "We just need one clean shot," she murmured. One chance. Suddenly, alarms flared. Multiple hostiles incoming. Alien interceptors swarmed toward them, sleek and gold, cutting through the darkness like knives. "Evasive pattern Delta," Helena shouted. The pilot dove hard, engines screaming as plasma fire streaked past the hull. One of the alien ships clipped their wing, sending sparks flying. Helena gritted her teeth. "Don't slow down." They broke through the wave, barely, and the Martian horizon loomed ahead. Above it, the Veneration hovered, its massive weapon array glowing like a red sun. Helena stared at the readings. "They're minutes away from full charge." "Then we've got one shot," said the pilot. On board the alien flagship, Cale watched the small human vessel approach. He smiled coldly. "One ship? How poetic. They come to beg before dying. Target it?" his officer asked. Cale shook his head. "No. Let them see what true power looks like before they vanish." He raised a hand. "Begin the final charge." The entire ship trembled as crimson light built within the weapon core. Energy arcs rippled across space, blinding sensors on both sides. Helena's eyes widened. "They're charging faster than expected. We'll never survive if they fire." She looked at the pilot. "Get me within 20 kilometers. I'll trigger Omega manually." He turned to her, disbelief in his eyes. "That's suicide." She smiled faintly. "So is surrender." The ship plunged forward. Alarm screamed. The Ares Omega was burning, hull peeling away, but it didn't stop. Helena stood at the control panel, typing override codes while sparks rained around her. Manual ignition engaged. The computer intoned. "Final sequence ready." She took a deep breath and pressed her hand to the biometric reader. "For Earth," she whispered. A blinding sphere of light erupted from Ares Omega's core, expanding rapidly. On the Veneration, Cale realized too late what was happening. "They're overloading their own reactor." The explosion consumed everything. A wave of blue-white energy tore through the void, slamming into the Valoran superweapon. The Veneration cracked apart like glass under a hammer. The shockwave raced outward, ripping through nearby ships and scattering debris into the Martian sky. The light reached Earth's orbit, then faded. Back in the Nevada base, silence reigned. Monitors flickered, static clearing slowly to reveal the aftermath. The Martian horizon glowed faintly, filled with wreckage. No alien signals remained. Torres stood frozen. "Did she?" A calm ping echoed. A faint voice came through the static, weak but alive. "This is Helena. Mission complete," she whispered. "The array is gone." "They won't fire again." The control room erupted in cheers. People hugged, cried, shouted. The impossible had happened. Torres closed his eyes, whispering, "You did it, Doctor." High above Earth, pieces of golden metal fell like shooting stars, glowing as they entered the atmosphere. The sky shimmered with light, a storm of fire and victory. Helena drifted in her damaged ship, breathing shallowly as she watched the distant blue planet turning below. "We survived," she murmured. "We actually survived." Her console blinked one last message from Earth Command. "You showed them what humanity is made of." She smiled faintly. "No," she whispered. "We just reminded them." Her eyes closed as the stars reflected in the glass. On the far edge of the galaxy, a faint signal reached the Valoran High Council. It was Cale's final transmission, sent moments before his ship was destroyed. "Do not return to Earth. They are not weak. They are the storm." For the first time in weeks, the skies above Earth were clear. No golden fleets, no beams of light, no more trembling ground. The alien ships were gone, destroyed or vanished into the void. Humanity had survived the impossible. But deep inside the Nevada command base, no one was celebrating. They were just listening to the static, waiting for one voice that had not yet returned. Dr. Helena Park's transmission had gone silent 12 hours ago. Her last words still echoed in every soldier's mind. "The array is gone. They won't fire again." General Torres stood before the main screen, hands clasped tightly behind his back. He looked older, worn down by sleepless nights and too many funerals. Around him, technicians whispered updates, search beacons sent toward Mars, comms frequencies scanned again and again, but nothing came back. "She did it," Torres said finally, his voice low, "but at a price none of us can repay." A young officer spoke softly. "Sir, what if she's still alive?" Torres didn't look away from the stars. "Then she's looking at us right now, and smiling." Far from Earth, a lone craft drifted silently through space, burned, cracked, half dead. Inside, Helena floated weightless. The cockpit flickered weakly, powered by emergency life support. The stars beyond her window looked endless. Her body ached, her breathing shallow, but her eyes were open. In the quiet, she whispered to herself, "Still here? Always still here." She had no way to send a signal back. The blast had fried every transmitter. But she wasn't afraid. She'd seen what humans could do. She'd seen how they refused to kneel, how even when facing extinction they learned faster than gods. She smiled weakly. "Let them come again," she murmured. "We'll be waiting." Back on Earth, humanity was changing. Cities began to rebuild, slowly, painfully, but stronger than before. Nations that had once fought each other now shared technology, food, and shelter. The alien invasion had done what centuries of diplomacy never could. It united humanity. Satellite feeds showed massive reconstruction across continents. Factories rebuilt not for war, but for exploration. Scientists worked side by side with engineers to study the fragments of alien ships that had fallen from orbit. In laboratories under Geneva and Tokyo, they discovered something incredible. The alien metal wasn't just armor, it was alive. It responded to human neural signals, adapting to thought patterns and emotion. Dr. Ishikawa, one of Helena's closest colleagues, led the research team. He stared at the glowing fragment, pulsing faintly with blue light. "She was right," he said quietly. "It's not just technology, it's a living intelligence. And now it's responding to us." The fragment brightened almost like it heard him. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore, it was evolving. Weeks later, a new ship rose from Earth's surface, the Unity Dawn. It was built using both human design and captured Valoran technology. Its hull shimmered between silver and blue, veins of light running like living arteries. General Torres stood on the launch platform, wind whipping his coat. "We built this from the wreckage of our enemies," he said to the gathered crew. "Not to conquer, but to remind the stars that Earth will never bow again." The ship launched amid cheers. Its engines roared brighter than dawn, carving a path through the clouds and into orbit. It carried the first united crew of humankind: scientists, explorers, soldiers, and children of a world reborn. Far beyond Earth, a hidden Valoran outpost received faint, fractured transmissions. A group of surviving officers gathered around the holographic display, faces pale with disbelief. The humans destroyed the array. One whispered, "Even Kale's flagship is gone." Another slammed his hand on the console. "That's impossible." Their world was unarmed. "Not unarmed," interrupted the eldest among them. His eyes were cold and thoughtful. "Unbroken." He turned toward the galaxy's core. "The collective will not believe this." "They must," the younger officer said urgently. "We need to warn them. Humanity is spreading." And spreading they were. Within months, human fleets began reaching Mars, then Jupiter's moons, then beyond. They found wreckage of alien technology and remnants of civilizations the Valorans had wiped out. For the first time, humanity understood how vast the war between species had been, and how close they had come to being another forgotten name in the stars. Dr. Ishikawa stood on the bridge of Unity Dawn, watching the red dust of Mars through the window. "If Helena were here," he said softly, "she'd tell us to keep moving." Torres, older now, smiled faintly. "She'd also say, 'Don't do anything stupid.'" "Too late for that," Ishikawa said. The crew laughed quietly as the ship began scanning Mars. Buried deep beneath the surface, their sensors found something unexpected. A massive alien structure, dormant and ancient, untouched even by the Valorans. It pulsed faintly when human signals approached. Torres frowned. "What is that?" Ishikawa studied the readings. Something older than the Valorans. Maybe older than the galaxy itself. The pulsing grew brighter. Then a faint voice, ancient and calm, echoed through the comm system. "You are not the first to rise. But perhaps you are the last to fall." The crew froze. "Is that a warning?" a pilot asked. Ishikawa shook his head slowly. "No, it's a welcome." Back on Earth, deep inside the United Nations command hall, a single message came through the interplanetary relay network. A burst of static, then a faint voice. "This is Helena Park, do you read?" The room erupted in chaos. Technicians scrambled to stabilize the signal. Torres, who had been addressing a press conference, froze mid-sentence. He rushed to the control deck, shouting, "Patch her through!" Helena's voice came clearer now, weak but alive. "I made it. Systems failing, drifting near Saturn, but I can see Earthlight." Torres smiled for the first time in weeks. "We've got you, Doctor. We're bringing you home." Cheers filled the room. Across every screen on Earth, people wept and clapped. The woman who helped save the planet was alive. Days later, Unity Dawn retrieved her from the black. When she stepped onto the deck, frail but standing tall, the entire crew saluted. Torres approached her, his eyes shining. "You saved us all," he said. Helena looked out the viewport toward the endless stars. "No," she whispered. "We saved each other." She turned to him. "The Valorans will come again, but this time we'll be ready. Humanity doesn't just survive, we adapt. That's what makes us supreme." And somewhere far away, the Valoran Council sat in silence as Kale's final transmission replayed again. "Do not return to Earth. They are not weak. They are the storm." One counselor leaned forward, voice trembling. "Then what are they?" The chamber's lights dimmed as the transmission ended, and the stars outside flickered like distant fires. Another answered softly, "They are what we feared the most, a united humanity. On Earth." The night sky was filled with new constellations, human-made, not divine. Ships glowed faintly in orbit, 1,000 lights moving as one. Children pointed to them from rooftops, whispering the same new legend that spread across the stars. They came for Earth, but Earth changed the galaxy, and as the planet turned beneath the infinite dark, Dr. Helena Park gazed upward, her reflection shimmering against the stars. She smiled. "First contact wasn't our end," she said softly. "It was our beginning."